Now I know we're 1 week away from the Japan vlogs, but there's a lot of anime news that we need to cover before we get to those. What's up, guys? It's your boy, and today I just wanted to take a minute to really cover a lot of the anime news that's coming out just recently within really the past month, because I know I'm not really a news guy, but there's just so many announcements, and I think it's just kind of interesting that they all kind of came at the same time. And that really came because of Anime Japan. Anime Japan's this huge convention in Japan where there's just a bunch of different booths and a bunch of announcements are made. It's really just this kind of huge industry convention where a lot of the new big things get announced. And I'm going to go in no particular order, but I think you're going to at least hear some names that you know. I didn't try to stick with any particular genre. I just kind of picked a few that I thought were the most notable. This isn't all of the announcements either. These are just like the big ones, and some of them that I skipped were usually just things like maybe a release date or something like that, where it was like, oh, this thing was already announced, but now we have like more formal information. I may have skipped some of the lesser known shows in that regard. I've included a lot of these really big shows that some of which just kind of got second seasons out of absolutely nowhere, in my opinion. So let's go through and talk about it, but before we do that, you already know what to do. There's a couple buttons down below. You can click them both. It helps me a lot. One says subscribe, and then one is not actually one that has a word on it, but it does have like a thumbs up. It kind of looks like that. If you could click both of those, it helps out a lot. So let's get straight into the content itself. And I'm going to start with one that I don't really know as well, but it was like literally yesterday that this came out and they said, oh, this is going to get a second season. And I figure it just shows how many announcements are being made that literally, as I was about to like record this video, there's another show that got an announcement for a second season, and that show is Spy Classroom. As I said, I don't really have a lot of context for that, so I won't talk too much past it, but just thought it was interesting. There's so many things to cover here, but that's our first. We also have a release date that just came out for the second season of Girlfriend, Girlfriend. Girlfriend, Girlfriend is a show that I watched. I really didn't think it would be getting a second season. It was a pretty standard by-the-book, slice-of-life harem comedy. I didn't really think it had much of an it factor, but at the same time, it definitely had enough people to warrant a second season who watched it. And I felt like Crunchyroll and some of like the streaming platforms kind of advertised Girlfriend, Girlfriend a lot. So maybe I shouldn't be too surprised that this one got a second season, but it did, and I'm curious to see kind of the direction that the show is taken past that first season, because I really didn't feel like there was a ton of like big plot lines going on, except for maybe one or two characters that had something kind of coming in the background. So hopefully we'll see that in season 2. Another one, this is a very expected second season, but we got the announcement for Bluelock's second season as its last episode finally premiered recently. It's a sports anime. It's got kind of this cool tournament arc premise, if I have heard about it correctly. This one I haven't watched personally, but it is about soccer, and it also really correlated well with Japan's World Cup run last year in 2022. A really good kind of first season for Blue Lock, and it'll be interesting to see if that success succeeds when there's not a soccer event to kind of propel it to the top, or maybe they'll delay the release for when there's another soccer event. But very, very popular show, and I'm not at all surprised that it got a second season. Something else we got is the release date for Spy Family Season 2, and I think everybody was expecting us to hear that at some point here, kind of in this time frame. But what I don't think a lot of people expected was there was also a movie announced, and that movie will be coming in the month of December. So honestly, it sounds like the Spy Family team has been operating on all cylinders, really trying to get the Spy Family hype train to continue, because let me tell you, when I was in Japan recently and I would go to like arcades or like places with claw machines, or just, anime-related stores in general, Spy Family was plastered everywhere. You could get Anya plushes, you could get your figures, you could get pretty much everything related to Spy Family that you could ever ask for. The hype is just unreal for that show, and for good reason. It has a great plot, fun characters. I just didn't expect the film announcement to be so kind of soon, especially right as the second season has probably just finished, or maybe even finishing at the time, because it's coming in October. So if you're a Spy Family fan, you gotta wait a little bit longer, but honestly, not too long a wait, and you're gonna be eating good come this fall and this winter. Also, another kind of unexpected thing to come out, we're talking about like the unexpected piece for Spy Family was the film. But an unexpected piece could also come from Horimiya, which the series is literally called Horimiya Peace. And that is because it's not actually a second season of Horimiya. Horimiya was a kind of a romance. Technically, I think it's considered a rom-com, but I really see it as more a romance drama with some comedic elements at times. Really great show, and it had just a really like structured story, very entertaining, and you really kind of grew with the characters, but a lot of the manga readers were kind of disappointed that it didn't cover certain things, and it kind of had to cut things out to fit within the 12 episodes that it got. And so what Horimiya Peace does is it fills in the gaps that the first season had. So if you're a like romance fan, if you like that kind of genre, Horimiya is a great show to watch. I've watched it personally. I really, really enjoyed it. Cloverworks in general, they're the makers of a lot of really just great series. They just recently did Bocce the Rock. They did Bunny Girl Senpai. They do really, really good shows. So to add on some more content to Horimiya, I don't think anybody is complaining about. Speaking of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, another huge piece of news we got, and this one caught me way off guard. Just did not expect this would come anytime soon, but I'm just super duper excited about it, is Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sister Venturing Out. So, if you guys don't know, we didn't just get Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. We actually got a sequel movie to that called Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl. If you saw Bunny Girl Senpai, you'd have a pretty satisfying end to the series, but the sequel movie, at least for me, is what really kind of took it and brought it all back together, and tied up a lot of the kind of loose ends that the show had. But there's kind of one lingering thing, and I won't spoil it what it is, but there's one lingering character who has kind of a conflict lurking in the background that doesn't have it fully addressed. And because of that, it sure seems like from the little tidbits that I've gotten from this movie, it's going to focus on that character. The follow-up movie to the show, I didn't even think was truly needed until I watched it, and they blew my mind. So I really think that if they can recapture that energy, and again, it's Cloverworks, they're really good, they're going to have another masterpiece on their hands, and 100% something you should be keeping your eye on if you are a fan of that series. We got a couple that are shows that I haven't watched, but they are just growing ever more popular, and they are getting additional seasons. These are shows that have been around for a bit, but are getting more seasons that I think for both of them it's kind of expected, but also good to see. Regardless, we have Bungo Stray Dogs getting a 5th season. I've heard nothing but good things about that show. And the other one that I will say the exact same thing about is To Your Eternity is supposed to be getting a 3rd season. So between both of those shows, it's always good to see kind of these long-standing shows continue to get additional seasons. These are the two that I noticed in particular. I don't really know if there's any more that got announced during kind of the month of March, early April. But a lot of shows, it's really just hard to get a season 2, let alone a 3rd season, 4th season, 5th season. So to see Bungo Stray Dogs hit 5 seasons is a huge accomplishment for them. And then To Your Eternity getting a 3rd season is huge. Because as an anime, if you can hit that 3rd season, you're kind of golden, because a lot of shows get a 2nd season that kind of were a piece of their time that kind of caught on in popularity, and then they just kind of wane off after a little while. So they'll get that 2nd season, but then they just kind of drop off after that. So if you can get that 3rd season, it typically means you're really popular and you've got some really good content that people really want to see. So both of those shows have bypassed that 2nd season mark, and they're succeeding in their own ways. So very curious to see if they continue to succeed in that. And then I saved the 2 best for last. They're unrelated, so they'll have their own separate segments here, but we've got 2 more left, and they're absolutely huge. One is really expected, but I watched it and I looked into it a little bit, and I'm just really excited about this one. and that is Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. It's been known that it's going to get a Season 2 forever. Everybody knew Jujutsu Kaisen was going to get another season. It is massive. And it's getting a second season animated by MAPPA, who did the first season and are on an absolute roll. I will say, I think MAPPA, to some people, kind of dropped the ball on Chainsaw Man, didn't do quite as much as they would have liked, but in general, the shows that MAPPA has, they treat well and they do a good job with. And even with Chainsaw Man, I don't think that anybody would say it's bad, maybe just didn't live up to the expectations that people had for it. But what we were given about Jujutsu Kaisen wasn't just that they're getting a second season. As I said, we've known that. We got two pieces of information. One was a release date for July, and we also got a trailer for the second season. Now, I can't play the trailer here, just YouTube, copyright, all that. It's just probably not a great idea. But I watched the trailer, and it's taking the show in kind of a different direction, kind of related to the movie that came out, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, at least kind of what it looked like on the surface. It also had a lot of slice of life elements, which I thought was kind of surprising. Jujutsu Kaisen, the first season, kind of had some slice of life elements, but they were more kind of sprinkled in among the action, right? But this looks like it could be a lot more kind of slice of life stuff focusing on Gojo, which could be really, really interesting. Gojo's a great character. I hope they don't overdo it, though. I think that could be a legitimate concern. When you have a character that's great and you get too much of him, sometimes his charm starts to wear off a little bit. So we'll see if they can manage taking such a loved character and keeping their kind of charm and persona to the same level that it is currently. So Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, I could not be more excited about. And on top of that, I think the trailer makes it look absolutely excellent. But I've been shocked by trailers before that ended up the show didn't quite live up to the expectations. So I don't want to get you guys too excited, but it does look good. And then last but not least, something that I don't think anybody was fully expecting. I saw this blow up my Twitter feed, and it's awesome. I'm so glad that we're getting it. And that is Re:Zero Season 3. We knew that Re:Zero was going to be making an announcement a few weeks ago. They kind of were like, hey, so we're going to like say something that's kind of like important at, I think it was Anime Japan, where they made the announcement. And everybody was like, what could that be what we think it is? Could that be like, and I saw some people who were like, maybe it's a director's cut, which would still be cool, but it wouldn't be the same as getting a full-blown third season. And they got it. Third season of Re:Zero. And honestly, I don't think anybody's surprised with the fact that Re:Zero got a third season. It's really kind of the pioneer of the isekai genre and kind of its specific take on the isekai genre. And because it's kind of the pinnacle of that and the one that everybody kind of strives to be nowadays, it's not at all surprising that it's getting a season 3. But it's kind of in the same vein as JoJo's Part 6 was, where Part 5 ended and everybody was like, yeah, that's awesome, can't wait for Part 6. And then it was the waiting game. It was, when's it going to happen? When are we going to finally get it? At what point? And then they finally announced it and everybody freaked out. And it was great because they finally had their 6th part, right? So with Re:Zero, we finally get the coveted third season that really, I think, solidifies them as the popular series that they already are. As I said, I don't really think that one, like some of the others that have gotten third seasons, had any doubt that it was going to get a third season. But I'm looking forward to it. I've only seen the first season of Re:Zero. I want to watch the second season of Re:Zero. It's really kind of well put together, and it's an enjoyable show. So I need to get caught up on it. But in general, really exciting for Re:Zero to be able to have that third season. And I think that it could have the potential to take it in new directions. I've heard that it's going to be covering the 5th and 6th arcs of the manga and introduces some new characters. So who knows where it's going. That show always surprised me when I was watching it, took it in a direction that I did not expect. So that is all to say that there are some really, really great anime to expect in the coming seasons. And I hope you guys are as excited as I am for them. As I said, I know I'm not really a news guy, but this particular kind of season of anime like content coming out, I just felt like it was worth covering, and I felt like I'd do that right before I got to some non-anime specific videos with the Japan vlogs, which, by the way, before I end, I just want to say I am so excited for you guys to see them dropping next week. I've already got the first one pre-uploaded. Be there for that. You're not going to want to miss any of these Japan vlogs. They cover a lot, including the trip itself. So be there for all that, and I will see you guys next week for the start.